They sold her like livestock on a bitter morning when the wind cut through the frontier town of Red Hollow as if it meant to skin every soul standing there. And she stood on that wooden platform with 7 children pressed against her skirts, her hands rough and trembling, but her spine straight, her eyes burned hollow from years of hunger, loss, and nights spent praying not for mercy, but for survival. Because mercy had never once answered her call. The auctioneer's voice droned on, indifferent, listing her as a burden more than a blessing, widowed. Too many mouths worn down by grief, and the crowd laughed, spat, shook their heads, men calculating how much labor they could squeeze from a woman already emptied by life. $300. That was all it took. $300 to claim a mother of 7. To decide her fate in a land that pretended to be civilized while devouring the weak. The man who paid it didn't smile. He didn't bargain. He didn't look proud. He was tall, broad-shouldered, scarred by sun and years, a rancher whose name carried weight across the plains. And when he stepped forward, silence fell, not because he demanded it, but because something about him said this moment mattered. She met his eyes expecting cruelty, or at least indifference, but what she saw unsettled her more than hatred ever could. Calculation mixed with restraint. A man used to power but weary of it. The crowd expected her to cry, to beg, to collapse in gratitude or fear. But she did none of those things. She simply nodded once, pulled her children closer, and stepped down from the platform as if she had chosen this path herself. That was the first mistake the town made, thinking she was broken. The ride to his ranch was long and silent, snow dusting the earth like unmarked graves, her children asleep against her. And in that silence she planned. Not escape. Escape was for fools, but endurance. She watched how he handled the reins, how he spoke to animals, how he never once touched her without permission. And she learned more about him in those miles than most women learned in a lifetime. When they arrived, the ranch hands stared, whispering, counting the children, judging the purchase, but she ignored them all. She cleaned. She worked. She rationed food better than any foreman. She repaired what others threw away. And slowly, without asking, she began to change the ranch itself, teaching the hands efficiency, teaching the children discipline, teaching the land respect. Profits rose. Waste fell. Men who once mocked her now followed her word. And still, she never forgot what that platform felt like beneath her feet. When drought hit and neighboring ranches failed, she proposed something no one had dared before: shared wells, rotating grazing, cooperation instead of bloodshed. And when the rancher backed her publicly, the West took notice. Towns whispered her name. Men who once laughed now listened. And when Red Hollow tried to auction another woman months later, she rode in herself, stood before the crowd, and exposed their cruelty with facts, numbers, and unflinching truth. How exploitation bred rebellion, how families built empires, how a mother who survived could outwork any man who underestimated her. By the time she finished speaking, no one dared raise a bid. The auctioneer left town that night. The West didn't change because she was bought. It changed because she refused to remain owned. And if this story moved you even a little, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that strength doesn't always arrive with a gun. Sometimes it arrives holding 7 small hands and refusing to bow.